My names are Alexandra Ngaiza. People know a lot about my work, my professional background. It becomes so hard for people to understand why I do what I do. It becomes so hard for people to understand why I do what I do. So that is why I decided to share this piece of me with the world. My names are Alexandra Ngaiza. I can describe myself as a self-driven, ambitious, and a purpose lady. And I believe this is all brought about my humble roots. I come from a background and I have experienced having nothing or being nobody in a society. And at a very young age, that experience taught me that for you to be valuable, you should be able to bring something on the table. You need to be valuable in your community, in your society, in order to be respected or to be of use. Despite all of that, I still give credits to my parents for my upbringing. Even if we didn't have much, they did their best to make sure that I get the right education. And for that, I am grateful to date. Yeah, so I remember it is a tradition where I come from, my tribe. I'm actually a Haya. These are people from the northern part of Tanzania. The region is called Kagera. Every end of the year, it's a tradition for us to go back home and reconnect as a family, as a clan. So we used to travel 1,500 kilometers. That is approximately 23, if not 25 hours on the road. And we used to travel by bus. And I remember on the way, I used to see these big farms, a big land, cultivated different type of crops, some sisal, some food crops. And I remember asking my parents, do they eat all of that? And I remember my mom told me, no, some of that is used for food, but the other is for business. They sell these crops in order to sustain themselves and take care of their families. Speaking about my education, I went to school on the northern eastern part of Tanzania. The region is called Kilimanjaro. And there we planted our own food. We were actually cultivating maize. Some of it, we consumed it ourselves. Some we used to exchange with another schools. So that is the place where I first learned how to carry a hoe. I mean, these hoes were taller, heavier than me, but that is the story for another day. So what I'm trying to say is, even on my way to school, I used to see these big farms, big coffee farms, and people cultivating these farms were women with babies on their back and things like that. So I grew up with agriculture all around me. I mean, it wasn't easy to be ignored. It was all around me, and I had to be part of it at some point. And I believe that is how I reconnect with agriculture as a sector. I wasn't fixed in a single profession. I could have been a lawyer, a communicator, a marketer, but what didn't change was the goal. I wanted to do something for farmers. I wanted to use whatever skill I required to help farmers. Like I said, I promised myself that I would do something for them. So the vision I had was to see farmers farm smarter, see farmers farm bigger. And I'm glad that I'm taking that road at the moment through working with Mazao Hub. The core of everything I do is a passion for inclusive rural development. Working with Mazao Hub, I've spent much of my time in the field, talking to farmers, learning from them, and that is how we tailor our solutions. So when you talk of rural communities, most, if not all, in Tanzania are farmers. Rural community is compiled by farmers because they're the people in the rural areas. So in short, I can say talking about rural development simply means talking about farmers development. Based on data that is collected from 2023 in Africa, out of everything produced, and here we're talking about the GDP, about 1/6 comes from agriculture. And here we're talking about farming, livestock, and fisheries. So you see how much it contributes to the economy of the continent. And if we talk of sub-Saharan Africa, that slice is a bit higher. It goes to 1/6 to 1/5. But if you also include the value chain around it, and here we're talking about processing, transport, storage, input supply, the contribution is much higher. The economic footprint is much higher that is brought about by agriculture. So we can say it is our backbone, and it is a sector that has a very has an impact to our daily lives, to the food supply. It affects us in global scale. In Tanzania itself, the sector contributes in employment creation by 61%, and that is above the benchmark, which is 60%. So when we talk of rural development, my passion for inclusive rural development, we are actually talking about farmers' development. And this goes back to exactly what I do every single day through Mazao Haba Climate Limited. Farmers have taught me patience. To me, better agriculture is the one that is practical and data guided. When a farmer can use the right input at the right time, he's practicing better agriculture. Agriculture that is supported by last mile support, agriculture that can be financed, agriculture that has guaranteed demand, that is better agriculture to me. At the center, women facilitate production. They are also accountants of the household. And often they're the first teachers in our communities. So I believe the fastest way to reach and educate our communities is by empowering them. And that is what we are actually doing at the moment through our initiative, a flagship program called Her Farm Story. The sense of purpose behind what I do. I remember passing in those big farms and the promises that I made to myself. So to actually know that what I do contributes to making people's lives better, making a difference in our communities, that is just enough motivation to me. It's about growth in every sense. Growing food, growing knowledge, growing our people's potential. I love agriculture because it's all about growth.